I want you to go into your operators page and look for Crownslayer. You'll find yourself in one of 4 camps. 1, you don't have her because you didn't play during Ipatatori. 2, you didn't build her, which is fair, your choice. 3, she's E2 mod level. Or 4, she's somewhere in the middle, not E2 but not at 0. In which, yeah, it's okay to be indecisive. This is why your favorite operator is E1 max level in my account. Anyways, for the people in group 3, so the people who built Crownslayer up to mod level, I have a question. Why? This isn't a shame, by the way. I also have Crownslayer on mod level. In fact, my Crownslayer is completely maxed at this point. And no, this is before the other mods, so I'm not expecting mod-wise shenanigans here. Genuinely asking, with every single person and video and everything else out there saying Crownslayer is bad, don't build her, why did you do it anyways? Of course, I know why I built her, but I don't know why you built her. And I know how CN spoiler happy most of the Arknights community is. I'm trying to get this out before the masses travels, you know, with Exu, Alter, and Lemuel. But most likely with how I work, it's gonna be coming out when we're already hearing news about the one guy who goes, "This costume fits." In which is to say, yeah, I know the other Crownslayer mod is out and it's really good. We're not talking about the people who build Crownslayer for that. That's a different topic. Also, this video is inevitably going to be outdated because it's about a very specific group of people at a very specific time. Because around now, there's a lot of reasons to not build her. She's so bullyable, she does no damage, just use Texas, just use Yato, just use Wizardale. I'm more of a just Surduric guy, but you know, same argument. Heck, if you looked up Arknight's Crownslayer, you're probably gonna find 4 or 5 videos of people saying either Crownslayer is bad, or Crownslayer's second module is good, or that one clip of Crownslayer being beaten down by Calcian Monster in the anime. That too. At the end of the day, all optics say she's a bad investment, and yet here she is, showing up every few days to do a quirky thing before going home to the specialist tab and eating anchovy pizza or something. So let me ask again to the people who built her. Why'd you build her? So that's what this video is about. What magical force drew people to level Crownslayer, even if she sucks? And I get it, this is a very temporal topic. I frankly don't think the second mod changes this particular topic much, but for the people who do think it changes things, it's gonna be something. Laughing at the peasants in the past and their negligence and mockery to their soon-to-be savior against threats beyond their comprehension. Of course, I too am a peasant here, like I can tell what happens in the future. I take in copium like it's water now, and that stuff doesn't affect me anymore. People will tell me, oh, Minos update next, surely, and I've laughed along, because it's just one of the bits now. Not because I'm actually hoping anything more. Especially can come home whenever she wants, and in the meantime, there's nothing I can do but shamble back to the couch, turn on the TV, and say, hey Crownslayer, can you pass me a pizza slice? I'm sure all of us have that one friend who's into her. I mentioned these people first because they're the second most straightforward group of people who are gonna build her, and there's nothing wrong with them doing so. Heck, you are you. You decide who you want to build. I'm not the best scripper out there, but it was this or talking about the CN gap, and I would prefer to not get my channel burned down in angry comments before I hit 2K subscribers. This is gonna come up as a pointless topic to most, but I just want you to wrap your head around the thought that I've been stuck with, and that's that Arknights is a lot bigger now. It has always been a game about nuance, but I feel like no one ever talks intimately about these sorts of things. Person by person, sure, but think for a second. When's the last time you saw an operator review video that didn't boil down to build them because they're hot, or build them because they're good, or build them because they're bad, but interesting in a special way? Or you place all the build thems with the don't build thems. Specifically for the last bit, where the operators are just bad. And it makes sense if you think about it. Most people watching these videos just need to know, is this operator worth building or not? So the channels that get to the point with this sort of stuff are what they're looking for. If you found this video, you're probably deeper than most Arknights players, because most Arknights players don't even care. This isn't a slander for Arknights players. Basically every game is like this. The casuals don't go online, look at YouTube videos and Reddit posts and Twitch streams and yeah, all that stuff. They find what they need and leave, so of course videos like this aren't made. Statistically speaking, if you're watching this video, then 1, thank you. 2, you are much deeper into Arknights than most other people, because this video does not tell you anything important. It's just one guy rambling about one bad operator. And you know, the day I started writing the script, it was one of those days where I thought to myself, I'm gonna be a better person! I'm going to wake up on time, eat healthy, actually research the topic I'm working on, and unfortunately for me, that basically boiled down to watching every other video about Crownslayer out there, at least the ones that weren't just gameplay or memes. That also means I now know of the existence of the Crownslayer Dakimakura, and sorry, what was this category about again? Crownslayer is an assassin who specifically targets people of power, hence the name Crownslayer. Her gimmick is that she generates smoke as her arts, hence the heavy emphasis on smoke screens and evasiveness, and I'm just gonna say it, that is cool as hell. Sure, she gets destroyed on multiple occasions by bigger, more important people, but there's just a raw coolness to shutting down an enemy's vision and striking unseen yet directly. Her clothes match too, being mostly black and gray and white, with the striking reds not only act as strong points to her design, mirroring the hidden in the smoke aesthetic, but also matching the reunion look of white and orange and red for elites. She both looks like she could be in reunion, while also specifically her own thing. Imagine for a second, you are in that smoke. It's cloudy, it's disorienting, you know she's coming for you, and you're desperately scanning around for signs of danger. Panic has already welled up in your chest. Your legs are shaking, your breath is short, you clutch your weapon tightly. If you're even a second slow, you're dead. And just for a moment, time slows. The chaos quiets. A flash of red appears out of the corner of your eye, but before you can even center it in your vision. Then there's the other side of Crownslayer. If you haven't read Ippa Tottori, then this might come as a shock to you, but she's also a trucker. This changes everything. This is her Gap Moe, except instead of going from badass to girly pop, it's badass to that one friend who you don't interact with much because they're always busy, but they seem rather nice and you love to get a drink with them one of these days, except asking them is kind of awkward because you don't want to bother them too much, so you try to generally be around them and strike up a conversation whenever the chance comes up. And it's not like you're trying to romantically pursue them or anything, they're just really cool and, you know, being friends would be nice. And I'm not saying Crownslayer is universally loved, but the people in that market are going to get their turn being happy with the unique something that's there. Speaking of unique somethings, if you're a whale who built everyone or even most characters whenever the spark hits you, then you've probably built Crownslayer. Reminder, this is before her second mod, so we're not referring to her triple enemy Pernastun. Crownslayer X. Is it really as bad as people say? If it wasn't already obvious, this mod helps with her first two skills more than her third, so I imagine once we have a choice, mod X will be for defensive plays, while mod Y will be for disruptive plays. While her skills are active, Crownslayer deploys a smokescreen that reduces the enemy physical and arts hit rate by 20%. With the mod, she jumps up to 25%. Notably, mischance is tied to the enemy, so the effect of damage doesn't happen. It's always given no matter who is being attacked. While with Narantuya, this is mostly a nice bonus to allow for riskier placements, taking advantage of the faster attack speed loop shooters get from being close to their targets. With Crownslayer, this mischance is the whole point. You see, Crownslayer is an executor, a fast redeploy. Unlike Tuya, Crownslayer can actually follow important targets around, effectively giving the entire team a 25% dodge chance if you use her right, except that's a lie. It's not 25% chance, it's 62.5% chance. It's time to talk about the skills. Let's start with skill 3, namely because it is a skill that gets the least value off of mod X. It's not a bad skill, mind you, an enemy can't attack while stunned, but the actual mischance stays at a simple 25%. It's serviceable, it's nice, and with the bigger range and long duration, S3 is easier to apply. The main upside, of course, is still the 250% double attack with the 4-second stun. It's damage, the thing everyone wants in the end. But if you're like me, you're already bringing plenty of other sources of damage, like Surtur. Also, that argument runs into a Yato-shaped opportunity cost problem, at least before we bring in the other mod, and not counting the fact that if you don't have Yato Alter, you're never going to get her outside of Barrows. For this mod though, if you want big value, you're gonna have to look at her other two skills. Skill 2 is that 62.5% chance I was referring to, as at Mastery 3, the mischance is boosted by a 2.5 times. More than half the time, your ops won't be taking damage, with the cost being Crownslayer doesn't attack except for the explosion at the very end. This is the first reason why Crownslayer the Operator gets such a bad rep. I get it. I too play Uma Musume, and when that failure rate is in the 30s, I am definitely not pressing that button. I don't care about the rainbows in that case. But Arknights is different. One mistake is hardly detrimental, assuming you know what you're doing, not including contingency contract. The solution to any chance-based interaction is to just keep rolling those dice. While you could always get lucky and have Patriot miss a global spear on the Portilopsis on the other side of the map. Okay, I'm not that smart, but wait. Did you see that? I like to remember a different example all the way back in Stultifera Navis. I just realized Stultifera Navis is after Patriot. I'd like to think back to an example from Stultifera Navis that involves the Crow guys. You know, the ones with way too much dodge. And Exu. The old Exu. The phrase goes, with high attack speed, 90% dodge is just 90% damage resist. This is Crownslayer S2's job. With an 80-second redeploy time, she reduces damage against your ops by roughly 60% for 8 seconds. Crownslayer herself was never meant to shine because her job was to help others in the spotlight. And she's not usually tanking with the skill either, since she gets reduced taunt for the duration, so your defenders, who are notably better at tanking, can survive much higher bursts of damage compared to what they and the medics behind them can usually handle. You know, assuming you use defenders and medics. I know there's people out here who just throw damage at the problem and hope it works. And to some degree that's fair, you need to kill the enemies to win usually. As good as Crownslayer is at saving people, to quote the one French guy in all of Terra,
and sometimes, the only way to save a life is to take one.
And that's the crux of it. At the end of the day, Crownslayer doesn't do the same amount of damage as many other operators, even outside of fast redeploy. Texas, Yato, Ascalon, Scotty, April, you name it. In an environment where you can solve most of your problems with damage, you don't need Crownslayer. So naturally, the people who are going to build her for gameplay are more likely into harder content where you can't just DPS bosses down. That isn't to say only pros build Crownslayer and only noobs skip Crownslayer. That's not true at all. There's plenty of easy content where Crownslayer can help, and there's plenty of hard content where Crownslayer does nothing. For example, I play RECC, one of the hardest modes to last long term, and Crownslayer doesn't do anything in that mode because with the stalls being so long, anything that's not a 100% chance is a 0% chance. But what I'm trying to say is that some people do end up realizing that only DPS is not the only way to play. Playstyles are granular. Yeah, there's a meta strat usually, but there are people who play with more stally comps, or they have a kingpin and they just support that one operator, or something like that. And in which case, different operators will be more effective. Maybe there is a strat out there where Crownslayer is just better for your comp because you have other things going on. Crownslayer is, by her nature, an extra layer of support, so anyone already running a stable core might want to fill the holes with smokes. Just like if you lack CC, you'd be using Texas, or if you lack direct damage, you'd be using Yato. Unfortunately, by the nature of her mischance, you do need to give Crownslayer all her masteries, but if you do so, you'll be paid off quite handsomely by how much she can provide, assuming you're willing to actually look for it. Mischance is one of those buffs and debuffs that you don't really get to see unless you're really paying attention. You know, like Sanctuary. With that said, I'm not gonna lie to you and say it's the best thing ever. Obviously there's downsides, and obviously you want to use other operators when they fit the situation better. But returning to the question of why do people build Crownslayer? For gameplay, this is why. The thing Crownslayer does in gameplay is wholly unique, and even though you need to invest a lot into her, assuming you know what you're doing with her, you can get a lot of value out of it in return. That said, yeah, she's not the only fast redeploy. Everyone does something different. I mentioned Texas and Yato, but Phantom's also there, and the 5 stars, and Gravel. Oh yeah, actually, I should mention. This one's honestly a weak point, but I feel like I should mention it anyways. Someone out there is gonna think they need to build a fast redeploy operator to round out the squad, assuming they don't immediately build Red, Gravel, or Waifu, or for whatever reason they decide specifically they need a 6-star. Crownslayer is welfare. Phantom's locked to Colonel, Texas is restricted to Autumn Limited Banners, and Yato is just gone. Of course, the logic doesn't currently apply because Ipaptori hasn't rerun or been record restored yet, but later down the line, someone's gonna find themselves in this situation, and even though the 5 stars are perfectly serviceable, they're gonna build Crownslayer anyways. It's just inevitable. So what do we have so far? You have the whales, the people who like her design or character, the people who like her miss utility, or the people who just want to build 6 stars because 6 stars better, heavy quotation marks. Also the people who are gonna build her for mod Y. like, because I can't deny it, it is just good. And if you built Crownslayer for some other reason, comment. Genuinely, I just wanna know. I don't know why this interested me so much, it just does. But after mulling over it long enough, I think I've come to the conclusion that people are different. There's a lot of people out there. I know that's not that revolutionary, but nowadays it feels like Arknights is broken so much into camps that it's very easy to forget individual people in the equation. Because with everyone saying, don't build Crownslayer, that's a lot of why nots, as opposed to why. If you think about it, every operator has generally the same reasons why you shouldn't build them. Either opportunity cost, or they're bad, or something like that. But why you build an operator is often very personal. It doesn't take much effort to build someone, but it takes more effort than not building someone. So when you build someone, there's usually a bit of you ingrained in that choice. Maybe you just want to build meta, maybe you have a niche, maybe you just like that character in particular, maybe you just find them really hot, or really cool, or really cute, or you really like their voice, or something. Or maybe it's something really silly like you share a birthday with them. That's why I built Coldshot, if you're wondering. Don't care about her that much. She's cool in story, she looks nice, but no strong feelings whatsoever. And just for the record, this isn't about pulling. Pulling is something different entirely. It's one thing to use fictional currencies to raise a fictional character, but it's another thing to incorporate real money into it. I'm not gonna comment on whatever financial situation you've got. Why do you think I made this video about Crownslayer? She's a welfare. Everyone, in theory, can have her and build her without the complications of pulling for her first. That's a lie, by the way. Not the welfare part, she is indeed welfare. The real reason I made this video is because I just wanted people to stop calling her Crownslayer. Crownslayer gets bullied. A lot. It's been her main running joke between her as a boss, in story, and as an operator. Compared to the best of the best across Terra, Crownslayer really doesn't stand a chance. Outclassed, outmatched, newer bosses like Degan, who, I might remind you, were already so long ago she became an operator too, can do what Crownslayer has with more ability, stats, and damage. After getting bodied by Kelsey and watching the movement she's a part of fall into ruin, Crownslayer goes home just to once again find those close to her parted from the world. And there's always someone out there saying, just use Texas instead. No matter how you slice it, there's always Crownslayer and there's always better. But I'll be honest, I kinda like that about her. Here's a thought. Is life fair? Is it supposed to be fair? I'm sure someone watching this video has it good and someone else is going through hell. And even then, how we're doing isn't set in stone. Everyone's got ups, everyone's got downs. Throw the dice enough times and someone's gonna walk out having lost everything. I don't consider myself particularly lucky. I've got a fair share of bad luck and bad habits, and sometimes it's just hard getting out of bed. Sometimes the mood just hits me. The day to day becomes a slog. When it's finally looking better, life just kicks me down again. A better person would just keep trying, pulling at the bootstrings and marching forward with all the fervor and conviction it takes to dig themselves out of the hellhole that is misery. But that isn't me. It isn't. It isn't. Life's not fair. Tenacity only goes so far before my knees give out and I'm on the floor, done with chances and done with trying. Why even bother living if I've already feel so dead? But failure is a part of life. And equally, life is made up of failures. When we fall, we aren't just stumbling before fixing our balance and walking forward again. We hit the ground, we scrape our knees, we get bruises and bumps, and it hurts. But that's life. Crownslayer has failed again, and again, and again. 62.5% chance of success is still 37.5% chance of failure. And she's gonna hit those odds often. But there isn't much you can do about it but place her down again and keep trying. Not because it's the path to success, but because in the end, it's really the only thing we can do. Failure or not, life moves on. The days go by, people change, everything falls apart. And just as we build ourselves up and life tears us down, what's there left but build up again? If I'm already a failure, what harm is there in accepting that and moving on? Crownslayer the boss may be pathetic and weak, but she's shown us the magic in shifters, and has inspired future enemies to have more interesting kits by using her ability as a base. Crownslayer the character has lost everything and everything again, and she admits that she's bad. But she's accepted her fate, and she chose to move on, becoming a trucker for a while before reclaiming her title as Crownslayer, after figuring out her own convictions and coming to terms with her own limits. Crownslayer the Operator may not have as much impact and as other fast redeploys, but instead she does something wholly unique, finding her own niche separate from those in her subclass, and even when that was marked as horrible and not worth your resources, Mod Y came out. No matter where you look, she always fails. But she gets up. She moves on. We always move on.